What does that entail? What is that?
Well, perhaps someone else would like to respond.
The report that was made to me was that when the inmates were being processed after the institution was secure and being transferred into HBZ, apparently there were lines of officers going up the stairs that the inmates reported was, quote, the gauntlet, close quote. I would like to reinforce what Mr. Jones has said. This was simply a report that was made to me as well as to other members.
Right, but
So we have no verification of this whatsoever.
it still hasn't been explained what they mean by the gauntlet. What do you mean?
What were they beaten with?
There were officers apparently on both sides of a corridor or a stairwell with sticks for security purposes.
And they did what?
The allegation is that the officers used the sticks as the men were going up these stairs and through the corridors.
To beat them.
Any of the people that you have interviewed or talked to, did you see any bruises or did you see any marks on any of these inmates to indicate that that may have happened to them?
I personally saw marks, but I cannot make any evaluation as to whether those marks came as a result of the alleged gauntlet or whether this may have occurred when the authorities took back control of the institution.
Well, how did they tell you that these
What did
marks
the
occurred?
inmates tell you happened to them? What did they say?
There was any kind of a gauntlet, as these inmates are saying there was? Have
We've
you
made
said
we've made a report to the prison authorities of what we heard, and we've asked them to report to us.
Were any of these several prisoners able to name?
You see, the people that we are talking to are the people up at the top. Commissioner Oswald, Deputy Commissioner Dunbar, and those people who we have no reason to believe, and none of the prisoners alleged were present during this.
Well, the point is that we have
they have to look into the matter and report back to us.
Where on their bodies were the bruises?
On their back and on their legs, some cases under their sides.
Mr. Patterson, is it within the purview of the committee to ask to really require some kind of response from the administration as to these allegations, and if so, was there such a response?
Well, we have just made our report. Before coming out here, we made our report to the prison authorities and the correction authorities. They haven't had a chance yet to look into the matter and report back to us. What we requested,
either authenticated or knocked down?
in time, I'm sure that it will be either authenticated or knocked down. It's about, you have a legal case and there's evidence from both sides and these things, and it's one of those matters which takes time to authenticate. But what we're concerned about, and what we've been concerned about, is that there be no more if there was any. And that's why we recommended a monitoring system. The authorities have already brought in guards who were not involved in the disturbance here. They brought them in from other facilities. They have instituted a monitoring system, and now we're getting a report on how extensive a monitoring system there is, and we're going to try and make sure that it's an adequate monitoring system so that nothing of this sort will occur again.
Do you have
if in fact it occurred.
Does your report from the inmates indicate how many of them say that this kind of thing happened to them? How many feel they were brutalized?
No, we did not give specific numbers. I can say that there were more than half a dozen that I spoke to, and I think other people spoke to other inmates.
I could say that there were at least 17 to 20. At least 17 to 20
Did the inmates say the guards said anything to them as they ran this gauntlet?
Well, there was a lot of verbal abuse on both sides.
Racial slurs?
I would hate to characterize it because I didn't go into the verbal abuse particularly. I was more concerned about the physical situation.
How many bruises did you see on the bruised inmates' bodies?
Well, it varied from prisoner to prisoner.
Did you give the maximum and minimum figure?
Bob, I think it's important to understand that we made an overview
and we inspected things in a very open-ended way because we just started this whole process. So we haven't made a formal investigation of all these charges. We haven't conducted an exact survey. What we are interested in doing is bringing these matters to the attention of the authorities and see how responsive they are. And they indicated to us that they would be working on this, and that we will continue to monitor this. And we have just started our work here.
On the other hand, you've talked to the inmates, and we have.
Abuses fell into the category of being beatings, and I want to define the period of time. The period of time to which the complaints, reports, allegations referred to concern that period of time after cell block D had been re-secured and the inmates were being processed, and they were being processed at this time with no clothing because they were waiting for clothes, and being processed to go into their cells. And the allegation made by several of them is that they had to run what is called the gauntlet. Now, I must state clearly that this information was brought to the attention of the authorities. We said that these things had been told to us. We also said that we had no way of making, and we say now, we have no way of, at this time, of independently verifying whether the allegations are true or not.
Some of the inmates, some of the hostages had been killed?
Well, I don't know
Before
that they
they
put
went
it
in?
that way. They had seen some of the hostages in a position of threat where knives were being held at their throat, appeared on the catwalk. And they were fearful that if they gave notice that they were coming in, that their throats would be slit. And they told of one episode where a man was about to have his throat cut, and when the helicopter came in and dropped the tear gas, that this man fell, and he was also shot. The man that was holding the knife at the throat of this man. This is supposed to be some man, I think, who appeared on TV and told that story.
Yes, but
I don't know.
Yeah, no, they claim that some of the people that were released had given stories that made them apprehensive.
That's right.
I think also what was stressed is that some of the inmates, at least one inmate, came. Brasco, yeah. One inmate had come out who was still in the hospital now, and he was released after he was injured by other inmates, and he indicated that there were some inmates dead as well as hostages dead, and I think that's how that came back.
That other inmates had also been attacked.
We
hope to see you again tomorrow.
Where will you be in Buffalo tonight? Where will you be?
We'll go back to which hotel is that?
Yeah, I'm Congressman Brasco.
It's a Hilton Hotel.
Congressman Rangel, New York.
Congressman Rangel.
Is Congressman Steiger here?
They're inside. A little later.
Only to integrity and to the public. What we wish today to do is to share with you some initial observations that our committee has made after a limited tour of the Attica facility, and to also indicate that these observations have been brought to the attention of the authorities here at the facility, and in all instances where we have made suggestions or recommendations, those recommendations are currently under consideration. Now, I might say that at every level we have received cooperation from Commissioner Oswald, from what I would say, middle management also. We have had unencumbered access. That is, when we have wanted to go somewhere and have requested to go, we have been permitted to go. We have been able to look and see and inquire, only limitation being the limitation of our questions and the limitation of our physical ability to go from place to place. Now, the initial observations. First, with respect to housing. After the outbreak, and this is particularly on Monday when there was the confrontation in cell block D and the effort on the part of law enforcement authorities to quell the rebellion in cell block D. There were a number of housing facilities which were not operable. That is, a number of cells which were not in satisfactory condition. As of this date, we have been advised that approximately 25% of the total Attica population has been transferred out to other facilities in order to make space for living conditions in the cell blocks. Our observations, which we brought to the attention of the authorities here, was that we felt that having 3 men in a cell was a situation which was not healthy and was not appropriate. We brought it to the attention, and this is 3 men in the cell in cell block A. And this was necessitated by the fact that other cell blocks, as I said, were not in operating order. We brought and certainly by the end of the expiration of the 7. Now, under, as I think we indicated to you yesterday, is that we were advised that medical treatment with respect to, that is, surgical medical treatment of inmates requiring major or minor surgery was performed and rendered for some 83 inmates. In addition to that, is that the medical treatment of the inmates has been good under the limited circumstances. However, we believe that, and we feel strongly about this, that it would be wise for the authorities to have an outside medical team, a committee of 3 to 5 persons, to come in and do an independent medical inventory of the physical condition of each inmate. As some of you gentlemen will know, intentions of doing something at the top often, sometimes, when carried out at the bottom, don't necessarily conform with the best of intentions. So what I'm saying specifically is, while the authorities might intend very much to ensure
Did you ask anybody why the negotiations stopped and the state police went in?
But we didn't ask. Yes, we did ask that question, and several different times they went over the chronology of events.
No, but
that
did they
led up to.
specifically say why?
Well, the general impression I got from the recitals that we received today, as well as what we ascertained from the media, was the belief evidently on the part of the officials that the lives of the hostages were in greater jeopardy, and that they had to act in order to protect those hostages.
But yet, on the other hand, the warden at one time told us that they knew some of the hostages would get killed if they went in.
Well, I know they didn't tell us that. They knew, of course, that there was a risk of it, but on the other hand, they thought that some probably had already been killed and that others were about to be killed by being exhibited on the catwalk up here, as they said they saw, with knives at the throat of some 8 of these hostages. But we are not prepared to form any final. We hope maybe we may see a videotape. We hope to get some further information.
They said that they were beaten with sticks, and that's where the marks came from.
How many of them told you this?
Well, there were
Several.
several.
How many guards?
Where were the
More than
bruises
half a
that you
dozen.
saw? On their heads, on their shoulders?
Generally on their body, but there were some.
We have been told that they were prodded back into some more secure areas. That is, the prodding is the word that the authorities use. Can you distinguish between prodding and beating and tell us which one you believe occurred happened?
Well, there are some people that may have been prodded. There are a number of prisoners that had no marks whatsoever that were were amongst those that were in cell block D. There were other prisoners who had marks on their bodies that looked as if they came from nightsticks, and the thing that the committee cannot determine is whether those marks came as a result of running a gauntlet or whether it came as a result of a pitched battle in cell block D.
We saw some hostages being located and found. We saw troopers surrounded, with ladders, and we saw some guns in an upright position. But
How were the hostages located? Can you remember that? Were there any? They just found some bound hostages lying on the ground.
They gave a signal when some of them were located.
Yeah.
And then what happened on the film? That's it. Nothing
you didn't
really.
See the hostages. You just saw the signal.
That's really all. Yeah.
So in other words, all you saw was sort of indescript pictures of troopers wandering around inside there.
Well, we saw them mostly on the catwalk. We did, of course, earlier see on the film some of the hostages with what appeared to be a weapon at their throat, and we did see that. This was very clear.
They haven't given no reason, told me it will be on TV and on the radio when I'll be able to see our boys. That's all they've told us.
What was the last you heard from your son?
About 2 weeks before this happened.
Did he give you any indication at that time that something was happening?
I did receive a letter from my son, just says, Ma, don't worry. I don't know what he meant by it, but that's all the letter says. Asking me saying hello, and he enjoyed my visit. And then the last line says, Mother, don't worry. And that's all it meant. I don't know what it meant by that. It just says, Ma, don't worry. And then the next thing I knew, this happened. That's all I know about it. I'm very concerned. That's all I can say. I want to see my boy. I've been sick 3 days over it, and I'm just a nervous wreck. I want to know why I can't go in and see my son if he's all right. That's all I have to say.